Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Color X Malice Unlimited, and we are continuing where we left off in the Adonis route. We've gone through all of our executors, talked to everyone. I'm pretty sure we got all of Sayeki's stuff. I don't know, though. I kind of feel like we had to have, because we started with 24 days, and we didn't have 24 between the rest of Mikuni's stuff and Zero. And then all of a sudden we're here, now we're going into the X-Day plan and we're getting like new stuff. So I think we're at the end. I don't know how long it's going to take, because I honestly kind of was like, oh, I think the last part would have been the last one, but nope, we're still going. So we'll see. We still also have 2 side stories that I guess maybe only unlock after this, but so anyway, 3 years ago. I don't know if we're still in Zero's perspective or in ours. Cheers! Cheers! Good work today! Phew! Hey, you're a drinker. Oh, wait, you just chugged the whole thing? Damn, you must be tired. I just feel like I needed to drink a bit more today. I'm glad that you're drinking with me, Sayeki. I drink pretty much every day anyway, so I don't mind at all. Thanks. Is something the matter? It's nothing big. I just had the stray thought that I needed to work harder. So that drink was to mark my new start. But drinking alone feels a bit lonely, so I'm happy that you're here. Hey, I think you're working plenty hard. But it is very much like you to not be satisfied. You're always so positive and earnest. Looking at you cleans my soul, you know. It makes me want to work harder too. You can compliment me all you want, but flattery's not going to get you anything. Oh, you sure about that? It's almost Valentine's Day, so I figured I'd get on your good side. And I'm sorry. I know that everyone keep like, oh, he's like in love with you, and Mikuni's like, and he's like, what? Now, you cannot. Come on. He's been denying it. Like, this whole route has been like complete denial of like the fact that he's been in love with us since the second he saw us, and like his motivations are 100% he wants to stick his dick in it. Okay? I'm sorry. Look, he can try all he wants. Well, no, because she's like that. No, you're just in love with her. That's why you're coming up. Well, I mean, you were already going to do all the crazy Adonis shit, but dragging me into it? It's only because you're in love with us. Otherwise, you wouldn't have given a fuck. Buddy, seriously. Wow. I'll think about it. But you know what? I've just always felt like I needed to work harder than most people. I remembered having this thought a long time ago. He's like, Valentine's Day's coming up. She's like, you know, I just really want to work hard. That just went right over her head. She just like batted that fucking right away. No, anyway. Acting like she didn't see it. Are you telling me that you always get worried when you're not working hard? Damn, you've really got some high standards. Yeah, you might be right. I hate how wide the gulf between my ideals and reality is. I want to help more people, but you just can't reach them sometimes. I'm not particularly good at anything, so I need to work harder than other people to be useful. But I'd rather do my best rather than regret not giving it my all. Even if it ends up being a waste, I still want to be able to look back fondly on it. You're strong. Huh? This might just be ordinary behavior to you, but most people don't have the motivation to push themselves once they've realized their limits. You really are strong, Hoshino. You're shining so bright it's blinding me. That's not true, but thanks, Sayeki. I was back when I was still a rookie officer. It was back in winter before I was stationed. Oh no, okay, we're still Sayeki. Never mind. Okay. Ever since the first time I met her, she was always a straight-edged human being. She had low self-esteem, and to me, she seemed like she was desperate to receive the approval of others. She was quite admirable, really. That was my first impression of her. Hoshino was more normal than anyone I knew. Sometimes she'd display a bizarre inner strength. The image of it had gotten stuck in the back of my mind because of how unbalanced it all was. Back then, that was all I thought. If it had ended at that, she wouldn't have had to go through the hell that I was putting her through right now. The seasons passed and April arrives. The X-Day plan that Rei Mikuni and I spent years laying the groundwork for would finally begin. Setting aside the larger end goal, I can say that just starting this would be a success. The citizens would live in fear of terrorism, and with that, they'd become more self-conscious. That is more than enough for me as the result. At the same time, it was painful. And that was because the impact of X Day would gradually spread, meaning the voiceless cries will also increase day by day. The anger of the people will keep building until it becomes overflowing hatred. You'll kill them for me? If I could erase him from this world. If I'm gonna get killed just for bullying or stalking, that's garbage. The victim's gotta carry some of the blame in those situations. No, I should be okay, right? Like, what? I'm gonna get killed for bullying someone? It's the victim's fault that made me bully them. What? No! Take this motherfucker out. I've been putting up with this for so long. If I could just kill him. I'm not at fault. I don't want to die here. I don't want to die. In the back of my mind, an ugly voice yells out. By the time I'd realized it, the victims' voices became nothing but noise. By giving the power of retribution to the weak, they'd naturally take the mantle of the abuser. Once people have an advantage, they'll mistakenly assume that they're special, and not just lucky. Power warps them into becoming arrogant monsters. It'll all come full circle. That's how humans are. So how do you provide strength that's free from that influence? A human being that'll not abuse others. One who will also not be abused. A human that will not create more suffering. I knew there was no answer to this, yet I still sought it. Yeah, my God. Okay. Hi. Oh, no, okay, that's great and all, but like, zoom it on up because he is beautiful in this. And then came December of that year. I put the collar on Spacey Hoshino. Placing a collar on someone that wasn't a criminal wasn't part of the plans for this project. I ignored Ray's protest and did this on my own. At that moment, it was the project I was most excited about. Perv. Why did it have to be me? Why would Yuru Sayeki do this? That's probably what you would think. I had reasons for choosing her as the test subject. Because I love her. She had an ordinary sense of justice. Her sensibilities are typical. She had the ability to comfort people in sadness. That's all bullshit. That's totally all second to his boner. Okay, I'm sorry. She even had someone that she wants to protect. Even though they didn't get along, it was her family who she cared deeply for. And that member of her family was connected with someone carrying out the X-Day incidents. When someone she desperately wanted to protect was placed in grave danger, I wanted to see how she would respond. Like, this is when a psychopath is in love with you, and they're like, I'm gonna torture you because, like, I want to see how you'd act. Turns me on a little. I mean, like, this is not normal you're in love with someone behavior, but if you're in love with someone and you're a psychopath, probably. I'm not saying I hate him, and I'm not saying an actual route with him wouldn't be interesting, but, like, again, it would have to be that happy ending where, like, we meet him and blah, 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 maybe he decides that, you know what, maybe going through with this is just a bad idea because, like, you know, like the weird alternate reality, like, I need, like, the Collar X Malice alternate reality version where, like, we stop Akito from being bad and with the power of Kazuki's love, and, like, they just go off and be happy and in love together, and we see their precious life. We can be with Sayeki and just, like, this life of, like, maybe if he, like, quit Adonis or just disappear, you know what I mean? Like, helped bring them down, and, like, but we were like, oh, we have no idea who he is. Or, like, in one of the earlier paths where, like, Adonis was taken down, but they never found Zero, and, like, Sayaki's just back, like, hey, what's up, guys? But then we fall in love with him, and, like, you know what I mean? I just want the alternate realities version. That's what I want. I just want to see what it would be like if none of this shit actually happened and, like, things were good for people. Anyway. But that's not the reason why I chose you as the final piece of the puzzle. All that elaborate reasoning was simply the story I'd concocted to shut Ray up. The biggest reason why I chose Hoshino, that was... I want to know where your heart is. I'm sorry, that's a very abstract way of being like, I'm in love with you. Someone that never gave up. Never lost control. Even when faced with imminent death, you held true to your convictions. In that vivid sense of formless justice she wields defeat Malice. I wanted to know that. Seek me out with your own power and show me what emotions you'll direct at me. I want to see your strength. 12:10, 7:11 p.m. Why do we keep... Okay, I know, look. This is great and all, but it's like, okay, we've done that. Why are we rehashing all the past stuff? The Adonis story is almost too long for me. Like, we went through and we talked to people. I think it's just because talking to Mikuni and then talking to Zero, I was like bored at that point. I was like, yeah, okay. Mikuni just talks about shit and I don't care. Like, talking to the other executors was kind of fun and interesting. But when we got to Mikuni, I was like zoned out half the time. Like, I'm not even going to lie. I'm like, you're just not. This is, nah. And then we go to the psychic thing. You're like, okay, we're good. We can get the. And now we're here. It's like, how long is the 3 years ago stuff going to last? Like, I don't know. I'm kind of over it at this point. I'm not saying won't turn around, but like, it should have ended a part ago. And I have a feeling like we're going to be here and it's going to be like part 70. We're going to be like, we're still going. We're basically playing the first game again. I don't know. I'm just like, really? We're still here? We're still going through this? I should have taken a break and like a couple of days off because sometimes you get to the point where you're like, okay, it just feels like it's going too long. It just feels like it's going too long. I don't know. Anyway, that's about all that we can share for the moment. If there's nothing else, just do your own thing. As a basic rule, all of us will act independently on the case that we were originally working. And I don't also do not bring back Yanagi and Emoto. Don't do this to me. You've already established they're dead. Don't walk back and be like, remember them? No, I do, but stop it. Stop it. You already punched me in the chest when you were dealing with fucking Kazuki and Akito over there. Like, Akito being like, I couldn't say, stop it, Akito. Roger that. Gotcha. So I guess we're just keeping things the same for now. I need to go home soon. Sure, if there's anything, we'll contact you. Don't think too much about it. Oh, this is him listening in on us. Oh, interesting. Okay, all right, that's a little more interesting, but still, it's kind of like, still? My activity for the day became surveilling that girl through the collar. I used the directional speaker, so I always kept focused on her even while I was on duty. Directional speaker. Directional, also known as parametric speakers, focus sound so it's only heard in a much smaller area. These speakers are use ultrasonic wavelengths to deliver sound to their intended recipients. In recent times, this technology has developed even further for military and entertainment purposes. It was easy to ensure that others didn't find out, and there wasn't even a need to put forth the effort. As I continued watching her, there was one thing that I noticed. She was cleaner than I thought. People all have several faces, and they show different ones to different people. Their public faces and private faces are skillfully interchanged. Says the master of the masks. It wasn't unusual for a person to be smiling gently while behind the scenes they did something abhorrent. Again, says the master. Oshino was human too, so she wouldn't be an exception. I assumed I'd see that hidden ugliness somewhere down the line, even if just a sliver. I've got a collar on, and I know you're listening to me. So of course I'm going to be on my best behavior. Although, at some point, you would forget about it. And yet, she's mysteriously clean. Maybe it was because I only watched her for a short while and she knew she was being observed. Even so, the fact that my impression of her hadn't changed came as a surprise to me. Despite how she understood her own weaknesses, she accepted it and moved forward, taking a different route to her goal. She's like him. A thought percolated up in the back of my mind. Over 10 years ago, he suddenly appeared before me. We promised to achieve our ideals together. I received a call at the exact moment I thought of his name. I couldn't decide whether his timing was excellent or terrible. I took a breath and hit the talk button. There was only one person who would directly contact me like this, Mikuni. Zero, do you have a moment? There's something I must speak to you about. Yeah, sure. I'll head to the cathedral. Thank you. I await your presence. What an uptight stiff. Ray Mikuni was the co-founder of Adonis. We built this organization together. Right now he's working hard day and night in order to make the X-Day plan a success. His dedication definitely deserved praise. He was probably the most invested in Adonis' future and wished for the plan to be a success. Meanwhile, I'm over here just spying on my wannabe girlfriend. Seriously. There's just one thing. My ideals and Ray's ideals are now drastically different. I finished some trivial tasks before heading to the location where Ray was waiting impatiently. Sorry to keep you waiting. I don't think you are. I think you did it on purpose. I'm going to shuffle some papers on my desk. I was doing some important documentation, just shuffling the papers. just moving them slightly, like slide it over here, just moving them around on the desk. Pick up a pencil, put it over here. Like, this is important documentation work. Not at all. Were you busy? Not really. I just didn't feel like it. I apologize for calling you. You're so formal, you know that? So what did you want to talk about? It wasn't for a report or a scheduled check-in. He specifically called me directly. That meant I had a pretty guess what it was for. Which also meant that it definitely wasn't going to be a conversation I was going to enjoy. Zero, I've already brought this to your attention repeatedly, but at this rate, the plan will fail. Again. Words of admonition, well, words of admonition for the cult leader who just does things as he pleases. He delivered this lecture so regularly I'd already heard enough of it. Causing incidents without proper planning is just going to draw unwanted attention from the authorities. I'm certain you already knew that. I liked their little bro date, but like when they're talking about all the plan and the terrorism stuff, I just kind of check out. It's just not, I don't know what it is. You're like, stuff. It's not thrilling to me. I don't know why. It's kind of like watching like war movies or cop dramas. You're like, not interesting. I don't know. I'm just not into them. And there's also a lot of expounding in this game. There's a lot where we just talk. Yeah, so like our idea. 20 minutes later, like we're still having this conversation. Really? Even in the first one. Like, things that could be kind of garnered, or it's just the way it's written. I don't know what it is. There's something about it. There are times where you're like, la 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 la. Are we done yet? I keep my mouth shut usually when it happens. I think. Probably bust out like this sometimes, like, okay. That's why we don't use Adonis members. It's why we only utilize regular citizens as the executioners. And again, we're saying the same thing we've heard 700 times. I know I forget a lot, but there are times where I'm like, we know this. I am wearing red. Do you notice that I'm wearing red? I'm wearing a red jacket. So you see my jacket? It's red. In case you didn't notice I was wearing red. Like, okay. I will overlook the fact that you gave out direct orders behind my back. However, using the name of Adonis so frequently will lessen the impact and meaning of its name has. In order to protect the organization, we should go to ground and redo the planning. That's how bad things have gotten. All these arguments were logical on the surface, but it's all just to say that he doesn't want Adonis to commit any more murders. What he wanted to say was obvious. Ray's desire is to use the X-Day plan to cause a sense of urgency to the nation and the people, making it a foothold for revolution. Of course, some sacrifices were needed, but he wanted to limit it to the sacrifices that were absolutely necessary. Kind of on Mikuni's side a little bit here. Ray's loyal to his sense of justice. In order to save most of those who are weak, he is willing to sacrifice a fraction of the weak. But that's the only plan Ray ever has. To Ray, it looked like I was losing my grip and becoming a serial killer. Aren't you not? I don't think you ever had a grip, but you might not understand it, but all my actions are with the plan in mind. All of the colored criminals will be publicly executed simultaneously on January 1st for X-Day. This display will allow us to control the minds of the people through fear. However, that's only a foundation. Once it succeeds, we'll literally be at war with the nation. We'll continue to push the coup forward until Adonis is completely destroyed. Because it'll be a protracted battle, I understand why you want to be more careful. But you know what? The destruction of Adonis will come sooner than you think. Regardless of what I do, we will be exposed in the near future. Naturally, I won't take that lying down. If we can keep the organization going for even a little longer, it's our responsibility as the founders to do so. But we can't be naively optimistic about it. I won't let things just fizzle out. As long as Adonis has influence, we should show them more fear. Ray looked down when he heard that. He understood. He just doesn't agree. His expression was filled with internal strife. We talked about this numerous times already. It was only natural that our opinions differ. Ray prioritized the continued existence of Adonis as opposed to my plan. In essence, he only wanted the organization to survive regardless of shape or form. But I viewed things different. I didn't care if Adonis was gone. Rather, once Adonis became a symbol of power, I'd rather destroy it with my own hands. I knew we'd never see eye to eye on this. Ray knew that better than anyone. Then there's the issue with her. He heaved a defeated, dejected sigh and changed the topic. Her? You know precisely who I'm talking about. That collar test subject. I thought this would go without saying, but you're putting far too much effort into surveilling her. Why are you doing that? What meaning is there to it? Putting collars on criminals and threatening them is advantageous for us. That much I understand. And that was the discussed and intended purpose of the collars. We'd keep them in check and force those criminals to become pawns for us. This ensures the smooth completion of the X-Day plan. However, surveilling some rookie cop gets us absolutely nothing. She has nothing to do with the X-Day plan, so why are you so involved with her? He spends all of his time surveilling us, and then, while not working. Like Jesus. I mean, he has a job. He's a cop. He still has a job. Sayeki still has a fucking job. And then he comes and does this. Like, how do you find the time for this? Is it more important than our X-Day plan? We've dedicated our lives to putting this into action. Just as you said, it's important to me. Way more important than the X-Day plan. You know, can't you even tell a joke sometimes? Excuse me? How does joking have anything to do with what we're talking about right now? You're so stiff. You complain too much. You're suffocating. Crack a couple of jokes to clear the air wouldn't hurt, you know. Oh, cracking, sorry. Stop messing about. I'm trying to have a serious discussion on important matters here. When we're talking about something as important as this, of course I'm not going to throw in any jokes. Yeah, whatever. If you just come at the subject like this head on, you're going to end up fracturing the conversations into tangents. You wouldn't understand. This was needed for the salvation of the weak. And that's why I decided to use high-minded justification to brush it off. However, right now, the plan is going fine. You know that better than anyone. Yes. Ray had been more active in Adonis's recent activities. As a result, he was very familiar with the detailed results of the operations. As a matter of fact, we do get good results. But still, I understood Ray's apprehension. The results were almost too good. The more positive results we got, the more exposure to the external world there was. We were at a vulnerable state. He doesn't want information about the core of Adonis to be leaked to the outside world. It's too late for that. I was practically forcing a member of the police force to go and investigate Adonis. People have begun self-reflection after recognizing the terrorist organization. We're not going to let up now. If the X-Day plan goes off like we want it, the ones who'll be affected the greatest are the regular citizenry. The masses, if you will. The collared test subject is that ordinary person. Her actions lay the groundwork for the future. This is also a part of X-Day. Is that so? I don't believe you're speaking the truth. He looked like he just wanted to throw his hands up and let out the biggest sigh. Fine, I'll tell you the truth. Finally, out with it then. Surveillance of the test subject is more important than the fulfilling of the X-Day plan. The moment the X-Day plan started, it already fulfilled its purpose. We simply needed to watch over the progression and reactions as we discussed on future refinements to the plan. I'm not getting lazy or anything. I may have changed the plan, but I didn't give up on it. But our future actions depend on how the test subject will act. What our conclusion is, I'm simply prioritizing that. Is that from your heart? To you, our sense of justice is secondary? Yes? I'd endured everything, even your arbitrary decisions, because I thought you did it to save the weak. And yet, why? Yuzuru, I cannot allow that. Take it back. What are you talking about? You're no different. Huh? Ray looks at me wide-eyed. He didn't understand what he had just heard. That's what he seemed like. Ray doesn't doubt his own sense of justice. That's why he didn't see it. You personally don't want to save the weak from the bottom of your heart. What? The one thing you care most about is yourself. You told me this before. You wanted to prove your own worth by rebelling against your own father. Putting it another way, you won't feel like you've proven your own worth unless you can show the entire world that you're right. That's why you want to protect Adonis as an organization at all costs. That way you can control it however you want. It'll give you approval on your pretty ideals. You just wanted to protect your place in the world. You upheld your form of justice and dragged in lots of other people without hesitation. That simply proves you're greedier than others. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. His expression suddenly changed. He's lost all color and looked completely pale. Don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming you for anything. Having an ego is perfectly fine for a terrorist. It'll tug on people's heartstrings much stronger than someone upholding some ambiguous justice. Humans are creatures of motives. We need to find the logic in everything. We're afraid when it's not there. People are afraid of someone like me with motives that can't be seen. Your motives are very human and proper, but you can never save someone that doesn't care about themselves. That's a necessary talent for those who wish to start a worldwide revolution. You should be proud. No, that's not true. I'm simply doing this for the weak ones who were abused out of injustice and to achieve your ideals. So it always comes back to that. At first, he was simply following the path his mother set out for him. Next, it was out of rebellion towards his father. Now it was because of me. Ray always needed motivation from an external source. My ideals, huh? Do you really understand what those are? I wish that I could. And that I wanted to create a kinder world so that people no longer have to be unreasonably sad. That's right. How admirable that is. When you become king of that world, how many people will you throw into the depths of sadness? Once the X-Day plan was a success, that would be an unavoidable reality. Not everyone would embrace the revolution. Ray won't flinch at sacrificing some for his ideals, but he wasn't going to get out of a revolution scot-free. No matter how many sound arguments you put forth, revolution through violence will always cause people pain. For those who had things taken from them, the revolution will seem like evil. They'll see no justice in those actions. Most humans are just trying to live their best life. Abstract words like justice don't typically sway their daily lives. But blood will spill for the sake of those ideals. How will he deal with that contradiction? Stop playing with words. Why did you say such a thing? Do you take issue with what I'm doing? Then why don't you tell me? I didn't say that. Have I ever complained about your methods? No. Then understand that I simply don't want you to become agitated at my methods. Very well. After painstakingly pleading my case and spelling out my demands, I finally get Ray to agree. I feel like you more coerced him than pleaded your case. You are the one that was playing with words. I never said anything about giving up on the X-Day plan or abandoning Adonis. I'd never make an obvious mistake like that regarding our ideals. I'm simply putting things into action that I knew would be necessary. It's like 30 minutes of this. Like, I can't stop. This is boring. I'm just like, okay, yeah, you're right. I know it's supposed to be setting up something I'm supposed to give a shit, but I don't. Yada, 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 your ideals. We know you're both crazy. I don't care about. Like, I don't care to, like, what are your deeper, darker motivations? What are your hopes and dreams? I know what they are. You've given them to me. I don't need to go through this for 30 minutes with you going back and forth. We already knew that there was kind of a rift. We already knew that you kind of weren't agreeing. We don't need to keep hashing it out. Like, just to pad the runtime of the game. The game is plenty long. I'm fine with it. We don't need an hour of this back and forth where I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna go to sleep. This is like listening to some... Wah, 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 wah. Oh, my lord. I'm sorry. It's just exhausting. Like, I just can't care about their conversation anymore. Like, I'm sorry. Alright, fine. Simply talking about how we think our own method is better won't really help right now. Yeah, if you could stop doing that, that'd be great, because it's boring the fuck out of me, and you're not getting anywhere, and this does nothing for the story. Like, maybe you think it's supposed to, but we already know all of this on the surface level. I don't need the, let's look at the 4-hour, it's like, oh, there was a summit to discuss stuff. Okay, well, are we gonna now have to play the 4 hours of that? Please, God, no. Well, that's what we're doing. We're just listening to their debate back and forth, and it's like, we don't need this. Like, you put it in here to, like, pad the runtime. It doesn't add to anything but my frustration. Because, like, we already know that they were at odds. We already know, like, that they weren't quite in agreement. We already know that Ray was like, the fuck are you putting a call on her for? It was all in the first game. It was kind of implied in the very beginning when we were going down our good, happy secondary routes with our boyfriendos. We've already kind of seen, like, this is like the 20th time you've brought it up. Could we stop now after literally a half hour? I estimated that we'd probably be done at like part 55, which I think is the next part. We'll be here to part 60 because we'll be in this conversation 4 parts from now. Right. I may have expected too much from you. I'll rethink what I need to do. But if you're insisting that what you're doing is for the sake of Adonis as a whole, it is for the sake of Adonis that I felt it needed to exist. The odds that it's the same Adonis as the one that matches your ideals is really low, Ray. I'm sure you've realized that already. I'll put my trust in your words. But that was what Ray said. Even if our ideals differed, even if our ways were separate, we believed they'd converge in the end. No, that's what we wished would happen, no matter how low of a possibility that may be. Are we done here? Yes. Now if you'll excuse me. And now Sayaki's going to expound on this for 5 minutes, what we just did, and he's going to talk about it to himself. I watched Ray as he left the cathedral. After I heard the door completely close, I muttered to myself, "You two are alike. Spacey Hoshino and Ray Mikuni. Your eyes are both as clear as glass beads, humans with clear consciences. They showed their vulnerability and their need to lean on others to survive, yet they also showed the strength they had by never giving up. They don't need the support of others in the slightest. They believe only in their sense of justice and will fight people as they desire change. Even if cruel things happen to them, they weren't like the weak who were unable to stand up. They were among the strong who'd never truly understand what it meant to be weak. While I liked those type of humans, deep down I also detested them. My hands are already stained with blood, yet theirs are still clean. They looked so bright that I had to turn away, and yet we all looked up to that strength. I told you. They do that a lot in this game. Where they just, like, somebody says something, and then they're just like, this, and my deals, and this, and that. And they keep going, and you're like, we got the point, like, 10 text lines ago. I'm not saying I don't like the game, but I'm just saying there have been so many times where it's happened where it's like, yeah, so Yanagi and I talked. We had a nice conversation. It was really interesting. We ate dinner, and then we talked about a lot of things, and then we had a conversation. And but it's like 20 minutes of that, and you're like, you've said the same thing repeatedly, and you're trying to expound on it, but you're not adding anything to what you're saying to the point where I'm like, do we really need? Like, or they keep repeating the same things, I feel like. Where nothing new is being added with some of the things that's coming out, and you're like, you're not adding anything new except for literally padding the runtime. And I don't know. Like, I think that's my one complaint with Color X Mallet. Well, especially this one. I don't really remember it in the first one, but especially in this one. Like, there were just points where you're like, yes, I get it. All of the routes with our boys were supposed to be fluffy, except for poor Shiraishi, right? But you'd have these moments where they're just like, yeah, we're talking about work, and sometimes work and work and work. And, like, they just keep going on and on and on and on and on and on. You're like, half of the route was you talking about work. And that's not what I'm here for. Oh my god, stop. Like, you're trying to, like, pad out the route. Well, if it needs to be a certain length. Okay, add another fluffy scene. Have another conversation with them, another date, something, not 30 minutes of her talking about work. Oh my god. I'm just exhausted. I was literally, I think because, not last part, but the part before. No, maybe it was the last part. No, the last part, I was ready. I was like, okay, we're probably going to get to the end. 2 hours later. We're still not there? The fuck? Okay. We probably won't be there in 2 more hours. And it's like, oh god, just end her. I'm just tired. I'm gonna take a break after this one and, like, come back in, like, in a day or 2. Like, I don't think I can do... I think it was just like, sweet, we're gonna end it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we didn't get the end in that part, but we'll get the end in this part. Nope. No, we won't. No, we won't. Because 30 minutes in and we're still here. At least we're back to the present day. We think. Small fish group together in the tank. And they're just like people imprisoned by harmony who swim in regular patterns. And we gotta listen to Sayaki talk about his ideals and Adonis and the plan and like all that shit. Again, probably right now, even though we've heard it 45 fucking times. 2 years have passed since then. My relationship with Ray remained unchanged as I kept Adonis alive. All the while awaiting the day it would die. Okay, that's fine. I looked around and saw the blue tail fin of the beta cross my vision. And though the fish is small, its tail is rather wide. A single fish was in the tank by itself. If he tells me it's in the tank by itself because it might fight other fish, I'm literally going to fucking yeet my controller and I'm going to peace out because you already said it. We don't need to hear it again. It's because this game repeats so much shit. Are you happy to be alone? Despite its beautiful appearance, the beta was extremely aggressive. You already said that. If another beta was in the tank with it, they'd not only fight, they'd fight to the death. It reacts similar to another species of fish being introduced into its space. I'm gonna yeet my fucking controller. You fucking said that. When we first started this, you were talking about the beta and blah, blah, blah. And then you go off in your whole, like, 30-minute tangent of shit that I don't care about. I'm bored. This part is terrible. I'm so sorry. I can't help it. I just can't. And then you come back. If another beta's in the tank, they're gonna fight. You told me that an hour ago. I know you think I'm gonna forget because I fell asleep, but like, oh my god. Oh my god, this game just rehashes the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And guess what? I'm not gonna... I probably did in the first game and I didn't remember because I'm reading and then my brain is like off fucking playing, doing something else. Like painting, watching paint dry or some shit because it gets so boring that I don't like pay attention. Also, it's been a while since I played the first game, but like, good lord, was it this bad with just like expounding on shit? Says the person who keeps doing that herself. It will attack no matter what, and that's why it's never kept with other fish. That's the fate of the beta. And just hear me out again. I'll give you some food in exchange. No response. Naturally, fish don't speak human language. I felt like it could understand what we say. It just had no way of responding to us. It simply waved its blue fins in the water to soothe my eyes and heart. There are too many things in the world that people have to attribute reason and logic to. I'm just gonna go on a fucking monologue. As long as you're alive, you'd encounter situations where you needed to attribute motives and reasons. But you know what? Humans are the most beautiful when they act purely out of instinct. That was why I believed emotions were beautiful. I want Spacey Hoshino's heart. After I met Spacey Hoshino, I selected her as the test subject for the collar. I continued to keep her under surveillance to know her heart, and my desire grew day by day. Okay, this is at least... Are you finally admitting it, Sayaki? Here you go. This is what 40 minutes has gone by, where you should have gotten from the very beginning. Show me everything. Show me the waverings of your heart. It was illogical. I wanted to see the change of your heart when you were pushed to the limits. Most people wouldn't understand why I wanted to know these details using these methods. Oh no, we're gonna go back into his monologue. Never mind. Hell, I thought it was crazy too. But my desire can't be held in check anymore. Without a doubt, this is an obsession. According to Ray, it's perhaps love? It was much more than that. I actually wanted to steer her ugly emotions directly at me. I sincerely desired to know what lay in her heart, even more so than whatever mission I had to fulfill. Do I want to be killed by her? Who am I? What do I even want? Okay, this is a little more interesting. He's going in his monologue, but at least this we're getting insight into his crazy. Okay, I'm fine with that. But I'm so exhausted by the 30 minutes of his conversation with Ray and backtrack shit that I didn't care. We don't need this. It didn't help. That now I'm just so bored that even though we're getting something, ooh, okay. My give a fucks are broken at the moment. Which is unfortunate, because this is interesting. This is like, oh, okay. All right, we're getting into Sayaki's brain. Normally, I'd never have asked myself this question, but I was at a slight loss at the moment. No, it's not that I want to be killed. I just wanted her to direct her emotions that were as intense as intent to kill at me. Intense as intent to kill. Wow. I was tired of hearing those crying voices. Rather than experiencing the ugly desires of strangers, I'd much rather have her eyes looking dead on at me. Ray asked me numerous times why I was so fixated on Spacey Hoshino. It was our jellyfish hair, wasn't it? He likes fish tanks. Our hair reminded him of a jellyfish. I get it! Why, you ask? Because I wanted her to understand me. I wanted a normal human being to kill me. Because I was entranced with her admirable attempt to fight Malice. Anyone else could have filled that void. If that was true, then there wasn't any need for me to be obsessed about her. There was only one quality that set Spacey Hoshino apart, the jellyfish hair. It's because you liked me. Also the jellyfish hair. I'm sorry, come on. This was different from the relationship between Zero and Ray. It was different from relationships Yuzuru Sayeki had with colleagues. It was pure friendship. A true affinity with no impurities. And because you were that way, I wanted to know how you'd react when you realized I was pure malice. How strong would your emotions be when directed at me? I wanted to know. I wanted to see. I wanted to try. You feel like there is like a butterfly effect thing that at some point in an alternate universe something could happen where instead of being like, I want to see your pure malice, to be like, no, I want to be better. That some little thing could have changed him to steer away from this, and like when Adonis fell, be like, yep, no, I'm just going to keep going about my life and not even worry about it anymore. Hey, Hoshino, I'm obsessed with you. Sorry for putting you through this, but I want you to go through hell with me. The beta, which had been quietly swimming up to that point, suddenly made a noise as if it was laughing at me. That was the most interesting little 5-minute section of this whole entire part that we've just played. You know what I mean? But it's like, we didn't need the conversation with like, I know I keep saying it, but it's like, oh, I'm literally physically and emotionally exhausted right now because I'm just like, oh. It's boredom. I'm so bored because of it. And I know we should be like, okay, we're getting into better stuff, but it's like, no, it's just been dragging on. Like, again, I was ready for the end to happen in the last part, and an hour later, we're still not there. I don't know if we're going to finish it in the next one. Like, it's when you're like, okay, we're going to get to the ending. No, we're not. We're still 2 hours out. We're still not there. Okay. And then the boring conversations happen. Time passed slowly. Oh my god, you're not even fucking kidding. The game gets me right this second. The private rooms in the hideout had thick walls. Each room provided privacy. Thanks to those walls, I knew that no sound could be heard from neighboring rooms. It felt so quiet in here that you could almost believe you were the last person on Earth. I may have succumbed to that silence. I couldn't concentrate. I threw the book I was reading onto the bed without placing a bookmark. I lugged my upper torso over the bed. I looked up at the familiar ceiling. There's no way I can relax. Next day was coming tomorrow. All the preparations for it had been completed. All that remained was to wait another day. And here's the thing, when we get to the like scene where we're with Sayeki and we're gonna kill him, right? Or everything's gonna go down. Oh my god, it's gonna be adventure, everything's going down, and we're going to have a 30-minute monologue back and forth. Your ideals and your justice and my ideals and my back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We're gonna do the exact same fucking thing and rehash the same fucking things we've done the entire game. That she has said 1,000,000 times since we started this in every one of our boyfriendos routes. That she has said constantly throughout this that we just had to listen to Sayeki and fucking Ray say for a half hour. We're gonna do that again. We're gonna do it all again instead of like, no, this is exciting and there should be a thing and then he should just die. But no, we're gonna have to go through the fucking villain monologue fucking again. Despite the fact that they've already had all these conversations 1,000,000 fucking times. I'm gonna need to go get a drink because I'm not ready for that. I'm gonna be like, oh my god, fucking kill me now. Okay, just shoot me already! I'm gonna just be like, I'm gonna take your gun, I'm gonna shoot myself because I'm not gonna be able to take it. I knew you'd be the one to kill me because your ideals and my ideals and your justice. If I have to read ideals or justice one more fucking time, I definitely need to take a break for a couple of days after this one, seriously. But like, I just want to get it over with. Like, I just want it to be done. It's my problem is I set myself up to think that like, okay, we'll be able to finish it. No, okay. No. And then that last scene just, oh, fuck, we're gonna have to do that all over again because that's the way it always works in this. All the preparations for it had been completed. All that remained was to wait another day. That's why I'm actually surprised that talking to each executor was only like 5, 6, 7 minutes and not like 30 minutes each one, because they like to get blah, 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 like for hours. And you're like, what is the purpose of this aside from to fill time? So I was really surprised each one. I'm like, oh, they're really short. Okay. You had a lot of them, but they were short. It was nice. Because, like, I don't need you to talk for a half an hour about the fact that you fucking don't like eggplant. The preparations for my mission have also been completed. Tonight's key. In order to execute the X-Day plans, almost all Adonis members will be brought back to the hideout. This was so Zero could deliver a speech to them. The only exceptions were all lower-end pawns who didn't even know the location of the hideout. I'll take this chance to end everything. I understood that it would be difficult. Zero already knew from the beginning that I was trying to destroy Adonis. There's a pretty good chance he knew what I was doing. If I was ever going to crush Adonis completely, now would be the prime opportunity to do so. So she's going to blow up the hideout and everything's going to be crumbling except for the chapel, and that's where we're going to go meet, like, Zero and be like, we're going to kill you! And then have a 30-minute conversation as everything is burning around that we don't have time for, by the way. And I'm just going to be like, are you fucking shitting me? About our ideals and justice and, like, all the same shit. Again, that we've said 40 times. The members of Adonis rarely gathered like this. All of the upper executives would be here without exception. It'll be fine. I can do this. Right now, all of the members at the hideout were resting in preparation for X-Day. Everyone was given the directive to rest up. That was why I was pretending to relax in my room like this. Huh? While these thoughts were bouncing around in my head, someone knocked on my door. Who's there? Hey, Hoshino, it's me. What? Why? Why is he here? I'm assuming it's Zero. I never imagined that I'd hear this voice outside the cathedral. I know you're in there. Open up. Especially because he just wanders around the hideout and nobody knows who he is? That's fucking weird. Sure. It was so unexpected that I didn't think anything of opening the door as told. I regretted opening, but it was too late for that. It's alright. There's nothing in this room. I reassured myself while I looked up. There he was. Zero. He wasn't even in normal clothes. He was wearing the formal attire he donned as the cult leader of Adonis, Zero. What are you doing here? I hate to ask this, but are you lost? Yeah, of course not. This place is basically my house. I can't possibly get lost in here. Then why was he here? Also, you're walking around dressed like that. Do people not recognize you? I mean, they don't know what Zero wears. She knows what he wears. But like, and Ray knows what he wears, but nobody else does. Because they've never seen him before. But if they saw him walking around, would they be like, who's this dude? That's what I want to know about. Not his back and forth with fucking Ray and their ideals and their shit that we already knew that they had problems with, blah, blah, blah. I want to know, why does nobody recognize him? Like, that's the details I want. So anyway. Zero had his all-hands speech tonight, and everyone was keenly anticipating it. If Ray Mikuni found him here, I could only see it resulting in widespread panic. What is he even trying to do? And also, if he's having a speech, I'm assuming he's going to be hiding and not actually in front of people, because... Hey, you want to go out for a bit? To where? Let's see. How about we go out on a date? Huh? I'm here to ask you out on a date. You've got free time, right? Huh? Everyone's off duty so that they can be fresh. Come on, let's go. My treat. Excuse me? Okay, this is kind of funny. This refreshed me a little. While I was still dumbfounded, he pulled my arm to take me out of the room. It went without saying, but I was extremely relieved that nobody was in the hallway. I seriously didn't understand what was going on. We're at the aquarium. Oh god, we are prime date spot. For some reason, we ended up at the aquarium. Fishies! There's so many of them! Come on, kids, keep your voices down. You shouldn't bother the others around. Okay, what's that? It's huge! It says it's a shark! Oh, jeez. Hey, don't run, kids! The children were smiling ear to ear as they ran about. The woman behind them had a worried look on her face while she bowed apologetically at us and went to chase the children. She was probably the mother. She's worried about the gun that Sayaki has. Oh no, okay, put on normal clothes. He showed up! Hey, let's go on a date! What? He drags me out of the room and then somehow stops off to change. Again, that's the interesting part. Drags us to his room. What the fuck are we doing? Why are you getting undressed? What the hell? Could you have gotten undressed before you came to my room? Wait, you know what I meant. Changed. Like, huh? When did he have time to change? That's lively and nice. And then again, that's the way it is at pretty much all the aquariums. It's like paradise for the kids. I blinked in disbelief at hearing Zero say something so carefree. He knew I was looking at him, but he was simply enjoying the view of the aquarium. I had no idea what the proper expression for the situation even was. How did this even happen? After he came to my room, we realized that we needed to change clothes in order to go out, so I got prepared as he told me. Okay, they're at least going to explain it. In hindsight, I should have come up with literally any excuse to refuse at that moment. I lost out to my curiosity. Or rather, he's still my boss, so I guess I probably couldn't have turned him down anyway. Well, I feel like that's sexual coercion. I ran through those excuses in my mind and heaved multiple sighs. Those huge ones are so interesting to look at. But when they're so big, you have to think about space. It's probably tough to care for, too. Maybe I should tell Ray to make a giant aquarium at the hideout. But then you might need personnel specifically trained for it. Zero said he likes aquariums, so he was obviously enjoying himself. And that was fine with me, but I still wanted to know the reason he brought me out here. What's the meaning of you bringing me out here at this moment? Those were the first words I said to him after being forced out here. I had no idea what his reason was, but I did know with certainty that this man wouldn't do anything meaningless. I'm not plotting anything. Things are about to really get busy, you know. It's tomorrow, after all. I just wanted to take a break before that. It's been a while since I came to the aquarium, and if I missed this chance, it'd be even longer before I could. Yeah, because you're going to be dead, bitch. You seriously think I'm going to believe that sorry excuse for a lie? That's kind of rude of you to say. I swear it's the truth. I know he's lying about not plotting anything. His actions spoke louder than words. He wants you to remember... Actually, well, here's the thing. He either wants you to remember Sayeki and not kill him, or he's actually realized that he's in love with you and is actually... No, literally, I just want to go on a date with you because I love you. What are you playing at? He could 100% actually just want a date. I don't know. It's Sayeki. Things he did that couldn't be explained with common sense may appear to be tossed off, but everything this man did was filled with malice. It's just like when he had me look for the Judas. In the end, I was just dancing in the palm of his hand. I never forget when he said he did something simply to get an emotional reaction out of me. I'll never forget that. Come on, don't look at me like that. You'll scare the kids around here. We're at the aquarium, so there are lots of families with kids. Come on, Hoshino! Look, a shark! Wow, that's huge. Right. It was a whale shark, so obviously it was huge. I saw him carelessly gawk up at the shark in the tank, and it made it all seem so dumb of me to remain angry. There's no point in thinking about it. There really was no meaning to it. I'd probably never understand him. I sighed under my breath. Almost as if he was waiting for it, he pounced on the opening and changed the topic. What kind of fish do you like, Hoshino? Mackerel. What? That's a weird choice. There are lots of ways to cook it. You're assuming you're gonna eat it? I hadn't thought of that. You can just roast fresh mackerel with salt. It can be stewed in miso or with grated radish. Deep-fried mackerel's good too. In my hometown, whenever autumn rolled around, fresh mackerel was abundant. You don't have that here. I like butterflied horse mackerels too. Isn't that just dried fish? Can you at least keep it to live fish? I don't know what to tell you. Fish are only food for me. Fish are friends, not food, Hoshino. Jesus! I'm not talking about eating it. Oh, I think he's supposed to be saying that. I'm not talking about eating it. What do you think about fish that are nice to look at? Fish that I would say look good are... Goldfish? Yeah, I know that's a fish, but... It's not like I'd never been to the aquarium. Back then I probably saw fish and thought they were amazing or pretty. She's like, jellyfish? Because it reminds me of my old hair. He's like, I love jellyfish. I bet you do. I think the sharks would be amazing. Beyond the glass, I saw the sharks swimming about gracefully. But it was different viewing it through the glass. I wanted to see them in their natural habitat, the ocean. I don't want to see a shark in its natural habitat, the ocean, because swimming in the ocean is scary, and also sharks in their natural habitat means I'm in the ocean with them and they're going to eat me. No thanks. If I encountered them in real life, that'd probably mean my life was in danger. Exactly. And you? Why do you like fish? I don't know. Maybe I like how free they are despite being in a closed world. Free? The tank's much smaller than rivers or oceans, but it's much less dangerous than the open seas. That's not wrong. Fish had a good environment provided to them in the aquarium, and they'd never go hungry. There were minimal risks for their survival. You can say that they're blessed. However, they had significantly less freedom. The aquarium is a world prepared by humans so that people can view the fish. The fish aren't here because they want to be, and they're imprisoned here regardless of what they want. Yet, they can be freer than the people who come to watch them. I'm almost envious of them. In our world, we humans have too many things dragging us down. This man called the fish caged in this box, prepared by humans, free. You mean to say people are happier when ruled over? It's very much in line with what a cult leader would say. With rule comes order. With order comes salvation. That's the philosophy of Adonis. Given that he's the cult leader of Adonis, it was only natural that was his opinion. It's easier to live freely if you're confined to a defined overarching set of rules. It's easier to live freely if you're confined to a cage. Okay, well, I need you to back up right there, girl. That's just where I felt that was going. If I had to name it, I'd say it was peer pressure, culture, and unspoken rules. People are restrained by those norms subconsciously, so I can understand that it's suffocating. Perhaps he just wanted to keep the symbol of his ideal world close by. Maybe that was why he set up an aquarium in his own room. The fish who live in this managed world with no natural enemies won't be dumping their sadness onto him. Nah, that's not it. I didn't come here to talk about uptight stuff like that. Zero shrugged his shoulders while shaking his head. I looked at him while still feeling aloof. Let's have a normal date. I really don't know what he means. I felt my brow furrowing into a disappointed look. Is he going to try to kiss us? Do we get a kissy CG with Sayaka even though it's not a real date and it's not a romancing route? Because I'm just saying, I might be okay with that. It's also, again, I feel like that's sexual harassment because, like, you're my boss and you made me go on a date with you. Wait, and then you're going to, like, force kiss me? Wait, but then I'm going to kill you? Oh, well, I mean, okay. That's why you don't force your employees to go on dates with you. I want to protest the description of this as both normal and a date. I honestly didn't want to go on this date. Just talking to a Zero at the hideout over work matters became a battle to maintain my composure. I'd never have imagined I would have to try to act normal in this ordinary setting. Is that an order? You won't go out with me if it's not an order? Correct. Then it's an order. Again, sexual harassment. What are you going to do? Who are you going to call about that? Very well. If it's an order, it can't be helped. I heaved a sigh in my mind while I looked around again. I mean, that's also dangerous. So, you'll do anything if I order you to? Uh-huh. What? Okay. Alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. I take one of the aquarium pamphlets from the corner of the area and started flipping through it. There's a water tank with sunfishes on that side. Do you want to go see it? You want to eat sunfish? I said I want to go see them, not eat them. Jesus Christ. Oh my god, fuck off with your fucking harassment calls. Jesus. Hey, they say that you can make sashimi, soup, or even skewers, stews from them. Wait, no. I don't look at everything as if it was food. Oh, the tropical fish are at the floor above. Do you want to go there first? Okay, let's see the sunfish first. I remember hearing a few things in the past about how sunfish die because they're so mentally weak. Remember that. Since they can only swim straight, they die when they crash into rocks, or they die from shock when the sunfish in their schools died. One died from stress when a sea turtle swam in front of it. When I heard that, I laughed out loud. How do they even exist? They can only swim straight. But the tanks have... it's like, look, the sunfish, they put it in, it swims to the wall, it bumps into it, and it dies? What the fuck is wrong with this? These fish don't even last as long as paper mache in the water. Most of that was just a hoax. Then these stories just swim into a life of its own. Oh, okay. Because I was like, that just doesn't seem feasible. How the fuck does a fish survive in a tank? Was I supposed to laugh there? Swimming because they're fish? Wait, that wasn't intended. That's such a low-level dad joke. I'd never say that. I remember you saying something equally bad during a drinking party some other time. Oh, shall we go? Oh, don't they have dolphin shows here? No, there aren't any dolphins here. There are lots of penguins. The flying penguin is the most famous. Is that so? Can't wait to see that. After a while, we spent some time just staring at the fish. Personally, my favorite was seeing the penguins with their flappy feet. So, we're still on our Sayeki date, but I'm going to wrap this part up here. This is a little more interesting. His like blah, 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 blah with Ray was so boring as fuck. Oh my god, we could have deleted that out and you never would have missed it. Could literally edit that out of the part and just be like, look, and then you would have been like, what happened to day 2? Nothing important. Well, this is actually day 2, right? That was day 3. Whatever, doesn't matter. So this little date part, cool, interesting. And then the end when we get to, which again will be like 6 hours from now. Swear to God. That'll be like an hour-long conversation while the world is burning around us and things are in the rubble and I gotta get out of here. But 3 hours later, we're still gonna be talking to him about our ideals and justice and why the collar? Why me? We already know all this. Please don't rehash it again, for God fucking sake. But they will. And I want to punch myself in the face. But, maybe we'll get to the end in the next part. I don't fucking know. I feel like they just really wanted to drag this out, and it's just a little too long now. So if we could stop, that'd be great. But, I don't know. We'll be here till fucking, like, June of fucking 2021 at this rate. I mean, not really, but still. Anyway, I might see you guys next time. I'm in far enough ahead that, like, seriously, the next time I start this, it'll probably be like, I don't know, it's been like a month since I played this because I just couldn't take it. It'll probably be a couple days, but anyway. I just really thought we were going to be able to finish it in the last part. I was like, well, maybe we'll finish this part. Oh my god, we're still here. Okay. The date scenario is at least interesting, and I feel bad that it came at the end after I was, like, already so frustrated and bored out of my mind from listening to their conversation. So at least when we start the next part, it'll be like, oh, right, we're on the little weird date with Sayeki. Okay, fine, cool. So, anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up for my suffering, and subscribe to see more.